All right, we're on to part 2 here. Let me highlight something. We're on to part 2. American Bar Association, International Bar Association, Affidavit of Obligation, International Commercial Lien, ladies and gentlemen. On to part 2. All right, I hope everybody can see the screen. This is how you destroy the Bar Association, the International Bar Association, the DOJ. You can also destroy the FBI with this, okay? And put a lien against these people so they can't do business with you. They want to do business with you. You want fucking paid first, motherfuckers. All right? Pay attention. Give the incredible and irrefutable weight and preponderance of the evidence. Even the private courts owned and administered by the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the DOJ, Department of Justice, must find themselves guilty as charged and must therefore, under their very own revenue-bearing statutory laws, convict themselves lest they be totally void of human morality, ethics, honor, or character. 21. This request and demand by the lien claimants for written confession and admission, of course, are not likely to be honored. Yet under Title 28, United States Code 455, A, B, C, D, E, and F. Go look them up, ladies and gentlemen. This is how we disqualify judges from the bench. Do it all the time. Have no problem with them surrendering. They wave their white chonies in the air with the skid marks because they've shit themselves when we start bringing up these issues, which, in effect, and under multiple law systems, dissolve the judiciary, aka the American Bar Association, aka the International Bar Association, aka the Department of Justice, of all their jurisdiction, power, and authority to adjudicate over such clear cases of fraud or to act upon them, unless, of course, the corporate body itself and all justices, judges, magistrates, judges, bankruptcy judges, spouses of minor children, as whatever the case may be, divest himself, herself, themselves of the financial interest that provide the grounds for their disqualification. Again, that's Title 28, U.S. Code 455. Their oath is found under Title 28, U.S. Code 454. Okay? And they don't have a proper oath of office. They're not properly bonded. They're not properly insured. And they're doing a RICO organized crime syndicate is what they are a part of, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Again, the man that created this did, in fact, press upon the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the DOJ an international lien. Okay, this is valid. They put him in witness protection after doing this, ladies and gentlemen. I got that from Stefan, who actually works with this man that created this and says he's now in witness protection. Derek, unfortunately, you will not be able to communicate with him. I am not able to divulge his information. I'm not able to divulge his whereabouts at this time. I'm not able to give you his phone number or email address. However, I am still in contact with this gentleman. All right. So he told me that he would pass along the good word that I had spoken with Stefan to Stephen, who created this. Okay, this is the severity of this document. This is how important this document is for you. Now, I'm going to add to it because there's a lot of things I can add to it. But again, this is written in such a way that you can become a lien claimant, ladies and gentlemen. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. The link is above this video. It's also in the comments section. 22. For obvious reasons, as previously stated, the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Department of Justice private courts cannot begin to presume or assume to have subject matter, personal, or territorial jurisdiction, power, or authority over matters dealing with any living being wherein this commercial obligation lien can only be dismissed by lien claimants or by a properly convened and seated common law jury independent of the Crown Templar's private courts, to the detriment of the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, the DOJ, Department of Justice, its officers and crew, and their entire membership. U.S. Code Title 28, United States Code 455 is exceedingly clear and unambiguous in its mandates, and that the common law jury, as drawn and specified in the international commercial lien process, belongs to the people and not to any corruptible corporate body politic. Are the people incorporable with the lack of full disclosure and with the lack of their free-willed and knowledgeable consent? Yes or no? If no, please provide the international law of the law of merchants giving the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, or the Department of Justice the right and privilege to create, legislate, or execute such presumptions, statutes, codes, ordinances, rules, gratuitous bailments, bonds, contracts, or other color of law. So it's oppression under the color of law. It's oppression under the color of office. It's oppression under the color of authority. Okay? Number 23. In brief, United States Code, Title 28, subsection 455 requires and demands that all individual members of the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, the Department of Justice to divest themselves of any and all financial interest in any corporation or quasi-government agency, including their financial ties to the only true branches of the continental United States government, their banks, their insurance companies, and their for-profit jails and prison system. The American Bar Association, International Bar Association, and the DOJ, in order to be in full contractual compliance with the United States Code, Title 28, USC 455, must, without further obstruction, hesitation, or delay, release all military prisoners, corporate captives, and political hostages currently being held against their free will or imprisoned by force, threat, intimidation, blackmail, extortion, or by any other unlawful and criminal means. This includes nullifying all such contracts and the immediate release of all de jure government law enforcement officials, employees, clerks, and staff currently being held hostage by the bar members and gatekeepers. In so doing, would you have any problem in implementing a prisoner exchange program? Yes or no? 24. The American Bar Association has 410,000 members, and the International Bar Association has 55,000 members, with each individual member acting and operating in their own corporate capacity, PC, LLC, etc., and each member is, by corporate association, in violation of Title 15, United States Code, Title 1, and Title 2, for the total monetary penalty of $600 million US gold dollars, $600 million, each including tort claims of 3 times and 10 years imprisonment per individual corporate body per offense, i.e. lobbied, legislated, and executed revenue-bearing statutes, codes, rules, ordinances, and every color of law crafted and copyrighted by the individual members of the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the DOJ, Department of Justice. Per each criminal victim, $315 million, with a minimum of 7,000 revenue-bearing statutes, codes, rules, ordinances, and color of law being lobbied, legislated, and executed by the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Department of Justice. Every year since 1882, the total claim for remedy package would be staggering and overwhelming. Would you not agree? Yes or no? If no, please apply your own rules of math to this equation and provide the lien claimants the results. 25. Obviously, there is not enough gold in the world to cover these accounts payable or the people's accounts receivables. So the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Department of Justice, along with all of their corporate affiliations, must, by the sheer weight of the debt owed, be permanently dissolved and their corporate, personal, and private assets forfeited, seized, recovered, and returned to the people and tribes they have injured. The American Bar Association and the International Bar Association members then must work off the unrecoverable debts, either through forced imprisonment and or hard labor, which, as public annuists, none of the American Bar Associations or the International Bar Association members are accustomed to. 26. The American Bar Association national headquarters are in Chicago, Illinois. It also maintains a significant branch office in Washington, D.C. The International Bar Association corporate office are located in the state of London, England. These physical, public, and private properties and assets are to be vacated and returned to the people from whom the capital funds used to build these centers of profit and houses of unjust enrichment were pirated, pillaged, and stolen, turning these physical brick and mortar assets into centers of knowledge, as in libraries and monuments for the people, would be the lien claimant's recommendation. 27. The American Bar Association, by its own admission and postings, provides law school accreditations, continuing legal education, information, and about the law, programs to assist lawyers and judges in their work, and initiatives to improve the legal system for the public. The mission of the American Bar Association is to be the national representative monopoly of the legal profession, serving the public and the profession by promoting justice, professional excellence, and respect for the law. Is this true, yes or no? 28. The genuine truth of the matter is that the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, nor any of their individual officers or members have any genuine respect for the law, as evident in their behaviors, conduct, and the following oath of office requirements pursuant to Title 28 U.S.C. 453, taken by thousands of their administrative clerks posing as judges and magistrates. I, A.B., do solemnly swear or affirm that I will administer justice without respect to persons and do equal right to the poor and to the rich, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as under the Constitution and the laws of the United States, so help me God. This oath does not say under the legal system or corporate body politic, nor does it say the United States of America, Inc. As semantically devised, created, lobbied, legislated, or executed by the individual members of the American Bar Association or the International Bar Association, and yet to swear under oath and under the penalty of perjury, so help me God, is by all definitions perjury, wherein the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association's practices and conduct in denying God is clearly evident in every American Bar Association courtroom in America, and in every single revenue-bearing statute, code, rule, ordinance, and every single color of law enacted in both the public and the private record. 29. It stands to reason then, and as a point of accepted and universal truth, that each and every oath prescribed, given, taken, filed, recorded, monetized, and securitized, and placed into commerce by every justice and judge is a false and fabricated statement intended to obstruct free trade and commerce, and is, well beyond any reasonable doubt, a written confession to sedition and treason taken, given in an open court of law. It is also a willing and premeditated act of treason and commercial fraud against the continental United States of America, against its constitutions, and against its residents and inhabitants. Pursuant to Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, the bar's ignorance of the law shall be no excuse, and it is not a valid reason for the commission of a crime when the law is easily and readily available to anyone making a reasonable effort to study the law. Would you agree that these oaths are acts of sedition and treason, and that the judgments handed down at the Nuremberg trials against those stating, "I was just following orders," were just and accurate? Yes or no? 30. The legal definition of the term public, according to Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition, reads, relating or belonging to an entire community, state, or nation. Case municipal corporations, 1557, 1559, open or available to all to use, share, or enjoy of a company having shares that are available on the open market, corporations. Do you agree with this legal definition, yes or no? If no, please provide the bar's corporate definition. 31. The legal definition of the term publican has its origin in the Latin term publicanus, which comes from historic Roman law, and means a tax collector. A publicanus was described as a farmer of the public revenue, although the publicanus reaped only the money from that sown by the labor of others. Would you agree with the Black's Law Dictionary definition, yes or no? If no, please provide the Republican Party's definition. The definition 32. The definition of the term legal, the undoing of God's law, 1893 Dictionary of Arts and Science, Encyclopedia Britannica, and a Dictionary of Arts, Science, and General Literature, the R.S. Peel, 9th, 1893. God's law is also known as natural law, and nature's law is the foundation for commercial law, wherein the truth bounds all contracts. Does the ABA, the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, or the Department of Justice then promote and support the undoing of God's law? Yes or no? If no, please identify, describe, and explain who you serve. 33. Following this definition, what does the ABA, the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, or the Department of Justice actually produce in real labor or in benefits for the people, other than non-productive, self-serving job programs for its own members and its affiliated corporations and contractors, such as the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citicorp, and its privately controlled and ministered for-profit jail and prison system? Please be specific in your answer. 34. According to the Northern Trust Corporation documents obtained from the Federal Securities and Exchange Commission, the BAR, aka the American Bar Association, is the very same corporation as the International Revenue Service, and that the American Bar Association owns Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Citicorp, and a host of Fortune 500 companies. Are these documents correct? Yes or no? If no, please provide the documents that show anything different. 35. In your answer to 34, if yes, does this not present an incredibly serious conflict of interest for the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the DOJ, Department of Justice, pursuant to their very own corporate laws prohibiting such misconduct, fraud, and misrepresentation when the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, issues fraudulent mortgage foreclosure liens against living inhabitants of the land and the American Bar Association's membership, which includes attorney generals, district attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, and or defense attorneys, represents the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, in these kangaroo court cases, and where the administrative clerks, aka bankruptcy judges, adjudicating over such matters are also members of the American Bar Association? Yes or no? If no, please explain why you believe such conflicts of interest should be accepted as truth in commerce. 36. If the answer to 35 is no, please present the law or even the legal statutes which give any American Bar Association, the Department of Justice, or the International Bar Association members the privilege and right to commercially usurp, subvert, obstruct commerce, or to deprive the unalienable and natural rights of the living individual of land ownership on the land. Please be very specific in your answer. 37. The American Bar Association and the International Bar Association as political organizations are two of the most powerful political lobbying organizations within the city-state of Washington, D.C., Brussels, The Hague, the Vatican, and in each of the 50 states, wherein the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association and their subsidiary corporations have an unprecedented financial interest in all national and state government agencies. When the American Bar Association, International Bar Association, and the Department of Justice created, draft, construct, present, and instruct elected and appointed government officials and agents of these nations' states, including the federal and state quasi-government agencies, on how best to execute these revenue-bearing statutes, codes, rules, ordinances, and broad mix of color of law, from which the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Department of Justice, its members, and or their affiliate corporate shell franchises are awarded lucrative corporate government contracts involving the embezzlement of taxpayers' sureties and treasuries, and the execution and enforcement of their copyrighted and legislated statutes, codes, rules, etc. Is this an accurate assessment of the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association financial interests, their actual lobbying power and efforts used by its individual and corporate executives, officers, members, and contractors? Yes or no? If no, please explain your true financial interests are. What your true financial interests are. 38. Once again, with such broad legislative and executive powers to enforce these revenue-bearing statutes, codes, rules, and ordinances, does this not abrogate those very limited constitutional powers delegated to the judiciary by the United States and the people? And do they not violate the American Bar Association and International Bar Association's very own corporate charter, bylaws, their policies, procedures, bylaws, and professional code of conduct? Yes or no? 39. As the principal individuals principals, individuals behind the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association's financial interests, lobbying, legislating, and the execution of these revenue-bearing statutes, codes, and ordinances, and with all federal and state law enforcement officials now being under the control of the American Bar Association, aka the Department of Justice, or the International Bar Association, Interpol, does this not make these law enforcers culpable, responsible as accessories after the fact and parties to fraud and voluntary or conscripted parties to the null and void contracts? And does this not directly implicate the agents, employees, and contractors as criminal co-conspirators of the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association corporations? Yes or no? If no, please explain why law enforcement officers are not more truthfully and accurately referred to as legal enforcement officers. 40. If you answered yes to questions 39, are you attesting then that the American Bar Association and the International Bar Association have financial interest in all elected, selected, and appointed law enforcement officials, and that these individuals have, in concert, whether voluntarily or conscripted, and under a myriad of color of law, committed voter and election fraud under the presumptions and misrepresentations that the people have been duped and hoodwinked into believing they have any type of say over who they may elect, select, or appoint? Yes or no? If no, please explain how the American Bar Association and the Department of Justice were able to obtain their consent and maintain the compliance of these public servants. When we come back, we'll be dealing, let's just go ahead to 41. Such reckless behavior and criminal presumptions then can be easily construed by any competent and properly convened and seated common law jury of the people as forms of extortive, racketeering, hijacking, and the privacy of the people's voter and election system, along with the press ganging of the people's public servant, the privacy and seizure of the people's land and labors, and the destruction of the people's unalienable and natural rights for the exclusive benefit, use, and pleasure of the members of the bar and banking elite. Would this be a correct assessment and assertion? Yes or no? If no, please explain how you believe these acts to be civil and just in any society or culture. When we come back, we'll be on page 31 dealing with number 42. Watch the first video if you are lost and don't understand what we're going over.